Despite the big price tags for pass rushers, college football teams know they need to add them from the portal. We're going to discuss why it is so valuable today on today's show.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day each and every day, right here on the nation's #1 podcasting network, Locked On. We are brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first ticket purchase. It is a great app. We're going to be discussing how to at least mitigate some of the problems with the college football playoff and the G6. I have a couple ideas, and to be honest, I think it's going to fix it. It's a little later in the show, and I think it's an intriguing listen because this is not going to get better. There's going to be arguments forever. I get it, but the G6 situation can be at least somewhat resolved. We'll always have debates about who gets in, but we need to fix the G6 problem. 2027 commitments. There has been a long run of them. Since the end of November to today, we're going to go through a list of D linemen, quarterbacks, and everything else that have committed and why it's a big deal. That is going to be in the middle of the show. But to start, top pass rushers. And if you take nothing else from this show, note the following. Pass rushers are at a premium now more than ever. Why? Look at the games so far in the playoff. Who were the teams that won? It's a preview of what's to come, the rest of the playoff, and on and on and on. This never really changes. Miami could rush 4 and get home. That's a big deal. When teams can do that, they can change the narrative. Their offense was atrocious against Texas A&M, and they still won. Their pass rush was a little bit better than A&M's. A&M could rush the passer, but it was nowhere near as good as what Rueben, Bain, and Akheem Mesidor were. Pass rushers come at a premium. Bain, he was an elite recruit that Alabama and Florida State and a bunch of other schools wanted. Picked Miami, stayed home. He was a Miami Central kid. But Mesidor is a guy that went to West Virginia that ended up transferring to the University of Miami. So it's a little bit of both for them. And this is going to be a microcosm of how it works. So let's talk about 3 different guys in particular. And I've got one that I just saw that was in the portal. Not surprised, but we'll get to him in a second. Chaz Coleman. This is part A. Part B is going to be the opposite in terms of eligibility and upside. Chaz Coleman played 1 season at Penn State. Only one. 6'4", 245 pounds. He's from the eastern part of Ohio. He's a kid that only had 8 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss and a sack. You'd be like, why is he? What's the deal? Penn State had quite a few pass rushers. He only had the chance to rotate in, but you could see the twitch, the athleticism, and the speed. There's a reason that, like, everybody's saying he's going to go to Ohio State, and I assume he will. There's a reason guys like this are so rare. You can't teach the length and the height. And that first step explosiveness, Chaz has it. If he'd have played at many other programs last year, again, Penn State had quite a few defensive linemen that were good. He would have had better stats. He just had to compete for playing time with a lot of guys. But when Chaz was on the field, it was blatantly obvious. The key here with him and why he's probably going to be pricey, he's just scratching the surface. And he has 3 years. Keep that in mind, 3 years of eligibility. On the other side, Adam Trick, another kid out of the state of Ohio. He's from the greater Dayton area. It's going to be 1 year wherever he goes. But he's a big kid. He's got size. He's 6'4", 250 pounds, and he is productive. I know it was the MAC, but he even played well against Wisconsin, so a Big Ten school this year. 59 tackles, 12.5 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks. I don't care what league you're in. You're a pretty good football player. To that end, he also had a pick, 4 pass breakups, 13 quarterback hurries, and 3 forced fumbles. So which one would you rather have? The guy that's got a ton of upside, but it's not quite as proven, or the guy that you know he can play, and it's kind of the model that Indiana's used. They've taken a lot of kids from the MAC, from FCS, from the lower level of the FBS that were productive, but he's got 1 year. To be honest, it really depends on who you are. If you're Indiana and you're trying to reload every year, I'm sure they would take Chaz too, but I think they would take Adam Trick. He's a guy that's proven it. That's been the model that Curt Cignetti and the Hoosiers went with, and it's been successful. And then Tyler Thompson, this is the one kind of in between. Another guy, almost identical size, 6'4", 245, from North Carolina, 25 tackles. That's not too bad. 7.5 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, a pass breakup, a quarterback hurry, a couple of forced fumbles. Like he's a very consistent player. Wasn't dominant, but he's got 2 years of eligibility. Do I think he'll go for as much as Adam Trick? That depends on your perspective, but he's a guy that might. And what are the price tags for this guy? And I'm going to add one more here in a minute too. What are the price tags? This is where it gets very dicey. And one of my buddies is in this industry, talks about it all the time. And another one, it's a friend of mine. They have different ideas on what the money should be like. But to be really honest, it just comes down to circumstance. Teams that are trying to go for a title, Adam Trick might be the guy they go after. Definitely proven player because he's done it for 3 years. Could he get over $1 million? Most likely. It'll be surprising if he doesn't. Having said that, somebody might give Chaz that money, like Ohio State, because they have it. It's possible. So it's not just consistent at the market. It's just whoever's the top team. I'm going to guess 1.2 or more for a guy like Trick at minimum. If Texas Tech gets involved, Oregon, somebody like that, it could be even more. Chaz is a little bit different. I bet his structure of, let's say he goes to Ohio State, that's most likely probably going to be a little more incentive-based because, again, he hasn't proven it, but he's got 3 years. I bet his base is 600,000 to 800,000. I bet it is because he showed promise, and they're taking him from a rival. If it's Ohio State is where Chaz ends up going, yeah, they're going to like that. So those are some interesting ones. And here's another interesting. I'm surprised about this. I really don't know what's going on out at Kansas State. They're starting to lose quite a few guys. And I'm going to try to pronounce this. Toby Osunsani. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I've seen him play numerous times. The defensive end for the K-State, we're just going to call him Toby. He's a heck of a player. He had 20 tackles this year, 6 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. That's probably a guy that's kind of similar to Tyler Thompson, maybe a little above, depending on your perspective. I just love this kid's motor. He goes 100 mile an hour. But man, 6'3", 250, guys like that, they're hard to find. And he played in a front that wasn't like just completely talent laden, so they could chip him and go after him a little bit more. I bet his stats would have been better if he'd have played in Ohio State or Penn State. But nonetheless, this is another guy, $800K or more, I bet you. And he's got 1 year of eligibility left. He's trying to cash in. I really can't say that I blame him, and you shouldn't be either. Finally, Javion Hilson and Jesse Harold. Hilson's from Cocoa, Florida. He went to Missouri for a year, barely played. Had like 1 tackle in 3 games, played some special teams. Jesse Harold went to Florida State. He's a kid from Gaither High School in Tampa, right down the road from where I used to live. He headed up to Florida State, really didn't play at all. They're both in the portal, highly recruited kids. Hilson, I don't really know Harold. Hilson's a great guy, super athletic, elite student. I think off the field will help him for certain. Again, I don't know Harold like that, so I can't speak to him. But even though he didn't produce much, this is a guy that had offers from everybody. Bama, Florida State, Missouri, all the Florida schools. I'll be curious to see if he goes home or if he just goes somewhere he knows that he's going to play. That's the key. Will he come in and play and pick the school? It could be somebody like Indiana who's losing some defensive linemen. It could be a school in the SEC that's losing some defensive linemen. Wherever it's at, I would not be surprised. But my question is, how do you grade a kid that played in 3 games and really didn't play on any third downs? That's going to be interesting. Like, he played very few. That will be the point where I'm not going to guess on the prices, but I'm sure there are going to be a lot of schools that still try to give him quite a bit of money because you just don't find many pass rushers like Hilson. I thought he was a 5-star coming out of high school, so we'll see. Harold, he's a little bigger. I think he'll be a strong side end or grow into a D tackle, but there's still going to be people that are going to offer him quite a bit of money. You can't teach the frame. Jesse looks the part, and he's a guy that, again, he's got 4 years of eligibility, just like Javion Hilson. Both those guys will probably command a price from somebody. I just don't know where it's going to be. When we come back, I'm going to talk about the 2027 recruiting class, how it's exploded. Why are there so many kids that have already made decisions? Why are there so many players that are good making decisions? It's not just like one guy here or there. This is quite the list. We're going to go through the month of December to date. That is next here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. There's nothing like the college football season, tailgates, packed stadiums, and being right there in the middle of it all. The energy, the bands, the moments you remember forever, but actually getting tickets, especially with the playoffs, it can be very difficult. And that's the frustrating part about it with all the long lines, the logins, if you're using an app, prices changing at checkout. That's why Game Time gives you, the fan, the edge back. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences in just a few taps. I've gotten 2 different tickets in the last couple of weeks to basketball games. It's the same deal. You tap on the game you want, you click on the seat, you see your seat view, you go and put your information in, and you buy the ticket. You're in and out. I got my first time I was on the app, it took me 5 minutes. It's very, very simple. And the best part about it, again, you're going to know what your price is up front. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Thank you very much for making Locked on the Portal a part of your day each and every day. And if you want to take it to the next level, make sure you check out the Everydayer Club. It's down in the description with a link. You're going to get free access to our Discord. You're going to get $5 a month, no ads on your audio platforms, that you can take this show and anything else with you wherever you want to go. It's very simple. Again, check it out down in the description below. We're going to be talking about the 2027 commitments. It's been pretty wild how many guys just keep committing. I keep thinking that it's going to slow down, but it really hasn't. So I'm just going to start from the month, beginning of the month, and just go on up, just go through the list, just chronologically, and we'll talk about them a little bit as we go through. Keldred Ben, Montgomery, Texas, just north of Houston, running backs, 5'10", 208 pounds. He's a kid that Oklahoma has jumped on, and that's a great area. The north side of Houston has got a lot of talent. Trey Smith out of Williams Field in Gilbert, Arizona, wide receiver, 6 foot, 165 pounds. He's staying home to play for the Arizona Wildcats. Nico Bland out of Orange Lutheran in Orange, California, just outside of LA. He's going to Arizona State. He is a wide receiver at 6'1", 185 pounds. Jeremiah Douglas out of Crandall High School in Crandall, Texas, wide receiver, 5'11", 170. He's headed all the way out to Vanderbilt. Then we got Texas, keeping a kid home in Manville, Texas. Carnell James, corner, 6 foot, 170 pounds. He will stay home and play for the Horns. Trevor Jacobs, Lincoln High School in Tallahassee. He's going to South Alabama, 5'11", 175. He can play on either side of the ball. Xavier Whittington, Aberdeen High School, Aberdeen, Maryland. He's going to Boston College. Defensive lineman, 6'5.5", 300 pounds. That's a really nice pickup for BC. Trey Wembley out of Daniel High School in Central South Carolina, right next to Clemson, wide receiver, 6 foot, 175. And you guessed it, he's going to be a Clemson Tiger. Braylon Warren out of Omaha West Side in Omaha, Nebraska, quarterback, 6'1", 200 pounds. He's headed over to play for Mizzou. Virginia picks up DeMarcus Brown out of North Cross High School in Roanoke, Virginia, wide receiver, 6'3.5", 180 pounds. Georgia picks up Aiden Starling out of Shadow Creek High School, just south of Houston in Pearland, wide receiver, 6 foot, 175 pounds. Colorado picks up Dolph McDonald out of Morton, Mississippi, corner, 6'1", 150 pounds. Elijah Harmon out of Inglewood. This is one of the best players in the country. Defensive tackle, 6'3", 280 pounds. He's headed to Norman, Oklahoma to play for the Sooners. Texas A&M keeps a kid home. Caden McCarty, Cy Falls High School, just outside of Houston. He's an edge defender. He's going to be playing for the Aggies, 6'1", 215 pounds. Gavin Stecker out of Bettendorf High School, Bettendorf, Iowa, linebacker, 6'3", 190 pounds. He's going to be a Hawkeye. Ace Alston out of Anderson High School in Cincinnati, corner, 5'11", 175 pounds. He will play for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Colt Lumpras out of the Lawrenceville School in Jersey. That's a big athlete. I think he'll play edge, could play tight end. He's going to play for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Jaden Travers, St. Francis Academy in Baltimore, defensive lineman, 6'3", 260 pounds. He's headed to Lincoln to play for the Huskers. Weston Nielsen out of Bastrop, Texas, quarterback, 6'1.5", 180 pounds. He's headed to Arizona State. Braylon Bingham out of Pleasantville High School in Iowa. He's going to be a Hawkeye linebacker, 6'2", 205. Braylon Pope out of Sumner, Washington, wide receiver, 6'3", 195 pounds. He's going to be a Washington Husky. Xavier Hassan out of Cardinal Gibbons High School in Raleigh, North Carolina, corner, 5'11", 195. He's going to Notre Dame. That's a kid That's another top 100 player. A bunch of these kids are top 200, by the way. Just incredible amount of players that are really good. Marquise Bryant out of Rollsville High School, another guy right down the road from where Hassan lives. He is an athlete, 5'11", 190 pounds. He's staying home. He's going to be a North Carolina Tar Heel. Elijah Landrum Hamilton out of Cherry Creek at Inglewood, Colorado, just outside of Denver. He's going to Wyoming. Wide receiver, 5'10", 160 pounds. King Kawama out of Reagan High School in Pfafftown, North Carolina. He is going to play for the Blue Devils. Edge, 6'2", and 265 pounds. JT Garaki out of Don Bosco Prep in New Jersey. Tight end, 6'5", 230. He's going all the way down to Austin to play for the Texas Longhorns. Quentin Cipher out of Millbrook High School in Raleigh, North Carolina. Linebacker, 6'2", 220 pounds. He's going to play for Ohio State. Miles Smith out of Inglewood High School, a defensive lineman, 6'3", 295. That's another kid headed down to play in the southwest part of the country. He's going to A&M. He's another really good player out of Inglewood High School. And then we've got, let's see here, which high school is this? Montana State. Titus Badwick out of Fruitland High School in Fruitland, Idaho. Quarterback, 6 foot, 175 pounds. He's going out there to Montana State. And finally, Jack Jazine out of Oldenbolt Arthur High School, Oldenbolt, Iowa. Tight end, 6'4", 205 pounds. I'm sure his brother is Cooper Jazine, and he is going to play for the Hawkeyes, just like his brother. That is a very long list. And just kind of going through here, looking at like 24/7's rankings for whatever it's worth. There are quite a few kids that have grades of like 88, 89, 90, top 250 kids. There's several of them, like the Cipher kid going to Ohio State's top 250. The kid, Marquise Bryant, going to Carolina's top 250. Xavier Hassan's top 250. This is an impressive group really early. Weston Nielsen, the kid going to Arizona State. Nice pickup for them out of Bastrop, Texas. Nebraska, you know, they're going all the way out to St. Francis Academy to get a defensive lineman. I always trust St. Francis too. Colt Rumpus, he's not quite top 250, but I wouldn't be surprised based on his film if he ends up there. Ace Alston going to Notre Dame. That's a 115th ranked player by 24/7. This is a really good group. Caden McCarty going to A&M out of Cy Falls. He's a top 100 kid. I'm curious if anybody has any comments about this, fire away, but why do we think so many young players are pledging? That was just the month of December for the class of 2027. Why are so many pledging early? I've got two thoughts on it. Number one, it's the basics. They're getting into the recruiting game earlier. They're learning faster. They're taking more visits at an earlier stage. Okay. Secondarily, I think a lot of schools are trying to get these guys to sign. I don't know how legal this is, to some kind of agreement. Hey, we're going to help you out before you get to school. In some places that's legal and some it's not. But that's one of the reasons they're committing. They're getting money to be committed. That's my opinion on it. If you've got any comments, fire away. But I'm going to jump in the chat here for a second. Salty, you've got several things going on in here, man. I see that you're a busy man. What's going on, Salty? Salty, I think it will get ugly early. Let's see what we got here. Have I finished all my Christmas shopping? For the most part, I have. What am I doing for Christmas? I already went and visited my family. I'm back home. Oh, man. Let's see here. Katie, Ryan Day versus Mario is worth 10 points before you even compare rosters. That's pretty funny. Obviously, Katie is not a fan of Mario Cristobal. Matt Patricia's D and elite secondary will turn back into a turnover machine. Patricia should probably be National Assistant of the Year, by the way. Just my opinion, but we'll see. Katie says, Brian, they commit early because mom and dad want that payday. I think there's a lot of that. Sometimes it's not the kid, it's the parent or the person around, the agent, the third uncle, whatever it may be. There's a lot of that going on. Salty, Smitty, do you have a pair of Oakley shades in reinforced steel box that seems to have a high accord? I mean, yeah, I've got a massive Oakley collection. I love Oakley stuff. Salty, Notre Dame has Ace and Hassan already in their 27 class. I guess Coach Mickens likes to get his shopping done early, very early. That is also true. Notre Dame has done a tremendous job of getting kids knocked out in the 2027 class like some of these others. Anthony Burke, Mario's already beaten Ryan Day in the shoe. He did when he was at Oregon. That's true. That is true. Smitty, why is Jadon Blair entering the portal? It's playing time. He was the sixth safety. Notre Dame's so loaded in the secondary, it's insane. But it is what it is. Kids are not like when they're top 100 kind of players, they're not going to sit their second year. That's just the nature of the beast. So agree or disagree. That's kind of the way we go. When we come back, I'm going to talk about the G6. I've got a couple of thoughts about how we can at least mitigate, if not fix, what's going on with the playoff in the G6. That is next here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as certain action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly, just like you're going to see the situation with Kansas City on Christmas Day. Quarterback situation's iffy. You're going to see a lot of adjusting during the game, and it's definitely verified as to why. You can also put your money down on the next touchdown, drive results, quarter results, whatever you want to do with FanDuel. So if you want to be right in the middle of the NFL action all season, visit FanDuel.com and place your live NFL bets. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. The G6 is really complex to figure out with the playoff. If you followed the college football playoff as it led up to it starting, we all know that in some way, shape, or form, one of the reasons the G6 was included, like it, dislike it, or anywhere else, is the word that no company or government entity likes to hear: lawsuit. Can G6 teams win the title? Probably not. Can G6 teams even win 2 games? I mean, at some point, somebody will win a game, I assume. Probably not. We'll get into the why, but how do you fix it? I want people to focus on this. This is the best thing that I can think of, and these are just my ideas. And if you've got comments in the chat, or if you listen to this later on, fire away. I'm not saying this is perfect, because people's feelings are going to get hurt no matter what you do here. Whoever's the first team out, G6 or not, those people are angry. Fan is short for what? Fanatic. Fanatic doesn't mean rational. So with that in mind, I've got a few things in general. Number one, even if you got rid of the G6, just like these automatic qualifier kind of things, you could set it up where they can get in. It doesn't have to be the highest ranked G6 is automatically in. You should have a better parameter than what they had this year, though, because like they're going to get slaughtered every year, probably. But when that one team does have a great year, like last year's Boise team was probably better than what we had this year, but you have to give them some money. A lot of the G6 teams get their butts beat. Look at Tulane. I mean, they're still a solid program, but Ole Miss beat them pretty good both times. They should get money even if they don't have a team in. That's A. B, for me, if you're ranked in the top 12, and if you want to make it another number, somebody automatically gets in. But they've got to play more teams, and they've got to win more games. Not just play quality teams that get beat by 20. You got to show it on the field. And then finally, I think something else, I know like Tom Fornelli over at CBS Sports doesn't think this is true at all. Oh, I don't think the TV networks would want this. If you had a G6 playoff, there's going to be gambling. So it's a lock that people would watch. But I think that some of the players would really like that. I think there's a way to do it. Maybe you only do 10, 12 teams. But anybody that doesn't get in to the college football playoff is eligible at the G6 level. I think they could do something like that, and it would be fun. They've got it for the FCS, and it's on TV. Like, you can get some of those games later on television. For G6, they would definitely be able to sell some advertising. Would it be as profitable? Probably not, but they would make money. So those are my ideas, and I'm not saying they're perfect, but again, they should automatically get some money. No doubt about it. There needs to be a little bit better of a qualifier for it. They got to be ranked. They need to beat somebody in the regular season. They shouldn't be automatically in. Automatically got to have a G6. The only reason that's the case is they're scared to death of a lawsuit. It's pathetic. And then finally, you should give them their own tournament, whether a guy finds his way as the head coach of helping his team get into the G6 or get into the playoff or not. Even if you lost one, there could be 12 good teams to have a tournament. Why not? You could do it. Somebody would pay advertising for it. Again, the FCS makes it onto TV. If they do, G6 could as well. So that's my take on it. With that, we got a few more comments here in the chat. Let me check out and see what we got here. Anthony Beck is no Justin Herbert. No, he is definitely not, but he's still a good quarterback. Anthony Burke, Justin Herbert was already in the NFL. Salty. I can't believe Justin Herbert is Justin Herbert. He is having one hell of a year in the NFL. Herbert's good, man. Like, he doesn't get a ton of attention being out on the West Coast, but that guy can spin it. He's done a great job. He was like a no-name recruit that went to Oregon. James, yeah. James, I agree. I'd watch a G6 playoff, he says. I would too, because I think it'd be fun. It'd be competitive. And I think it would be a great way to spend some time when the playoff, like for the high level, is not going on. There'd be another game we could watch. There's a way to do it. Salty. I have always wanted a G6 playoff, and this year, and if the committee keeps screwing up, I'd like an 8-team NIT-like playoffs for the first 8 out. I don't know what the number is, 6, 8, 12, whatever it may be. They got to figure that out. They would know better than me. I only follow that level a little bit, but I think it would be fun. I think it would be fun. And on that end, there are other addendums that could be made. How much they make and all that stuff has got to be, unfortunately, coincided with the advertising, and I don't know how that would work, but there would be enough money in some way, shape, or form. They might put some of it on streaming or something, which would suck, but you know how the networks are. Bottom line, we need to find a better way, because I'm sorry, there's no way James Madison or Tulane should be in over Tulane, Texas, Notre Dame, or Tulane, over Vanderbilt, Texas, Notre Dame, in schools like that. They're not in the same stratosphere. They're not. You have to definitively prove it, not just because all these people are afraid of getting sued. They've got some scared lawyers, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens in the long term, but hopefully they can at least fix it so we get more consistency than what we had this year. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I am Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Like and subscribe. Take us with you on the go with your audio, all the platforms you can imagine, Spotify, Apple, Podbean, or anywhere else you get your pods on the go. We are absolutely available. And of course, on YouTube. We will see you again soon. This has been the Portal Podcast.